no bias, informing you with no exceptions. Nothing but the facts. Let's get the truth together. We the people. We the voice. We are the news now.
Indeed, each and every one of you is the news now as well as us. My name is Roxanne, the Globalist Anaya. I'm joined tonight by 007, as usual, and the wonderful Noel Harry Watson over there in Malta. And we do have another guest that's due to join. They're on the move at the moment. They are mobile, and they're going to join us from their car, mobile device. So we'll see if that goes well. Hello, my darlings. We're all still standing, I take it. Well, just about. We're sat down just now. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. I hope you're all right. How is everything where you are? Is everything all right? Let us know how you're doing. I'll get to you in the chat room in a second. Guys, a lot's happened since we spoke. Harry, Double, who wants to start first? Where are things where you guys are? Should we start with our broski here? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. So yeah, Malta is taking Corona suddenly very seriously and closed all of the schools today, and they're shutting down all of the flights. And yeah, with only 9 confirmed cases, and I don't know what is required for a confirmation, by the way, but 0 casualties. So let's try and figure out why that is.
Yeah, the numbers are all over the place again. Like a couple people, and we'll just shut everything down. I can see Rich putting his hand in his head there. Rich, what do you make of this? The numbers aren't there, are they?
Yeah, I stayed. Do you know what? I went through heck trying to get a screen recording of him actually talking about it. Because I listened to it and I was like, right, I want to go back and screen record that. And you know what it's like? It just kept. It wouldn't do it. And then by the time I could do it, it was like 30 minutes later. And anyway, I made a funny little video that's on my channel. This kid sits there and he says, yeah, basically, it's going to be a very, very tiny, insignificant minority or something. You know, that's not what he said, but my mind's gone blank because we're live now. It's on my thing.
Can I play it?
Shall I just play my video?
I was going to say, I can share the screen. I could share the screen and do it that way. Is it on your YouTube channel already?
Oh, it's on my YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I'll line it up now. I'll do it now.
Don't bother with the intro and outro on it. Right?
I'll do my best, Rich. Really... Marley can watch this with you as well. This will be all right. I think this might give Marley a bit of a giggle, actually. Just remember what I said to you guys before we went live. That's what it reminds me of, Rich, honestly. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to show you this straight away. Check this out.
Guys, hold on a minute here. Hey, Richard?
Where's 007? So this basically is what I got from this afternoon.
We sort of know the headline, coronavirus pandemic. That's going to be the headline out of the press conference. Contain, which was trying to minimize the number of people that have coronavirus, but to cope with a condition, with a virus that for a significant tiny minority.
A significant tiny minority
will require quite intensive care treatment and help with ventilators and such like. So
now we do know something about the mortality rate. I've discussed that before. I'm very happy to go through that, but the overall mortality rate is, in our view, Patrick and I completely agree on this, 1%.
1%
or less overall, although higher in older and vulnerable groups and lower in other groups.
And this is all of what he's about to say is based on the COBRA meeting that's been going on.
Now stop sputtering like a wet toaster and get busy.
It stumbles and it causes some problems or important and contentious assumptions.
Because this is too early in the course of the epidemic that Sir Patrick passed on.
There will be dire consequences for you if you do not obey my order.
Hey, how do I know?
That's brilliant.
Mike, I had to mute my mic because I was in stitches. I've pulled myself together now, but you could not make
All
that.
right, I'm laughing like this at my own good joke.
Hey, sorry,
Oh,
I'm
there he
late.
is.
I misunderstood. I misunderstood.
Not a
There he
problem,
is.
my darling.
And I have 15%
Hi.
left. Hello.
Hi. It's always the
Hoodly
way.
daddle.
It's always the way.
Okay.
Hoodie daddle.
Am I can I have a
daddle.
delayed thing or?
No,
No.
we can hear you absolutely fine.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Harry.
Nice to finally meet, mate.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Awesome.
it's
Very excited.
it's you
I'm very
two down here.
excited.
It's you two down here. I wouldn't know who you are if it was not for the awesome Noel Harry Watson. He recommended you. And thanks to the algorithms keeping us all apart, I had no idea that you existed, and probably likewise. And yet here we are now having a public conversation. So thank you.
I did put a post up because I sort of stupidly recognized after the fact that we should consider not putting any negative hashtags like Corona hoax, because I think there's an algorithm that says no, we're not, because it always says, I put NASA lies. I've been doing that for a few years, and it'll always say, well, less than 100 posts, and I'm like, well, that's false.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think anything we can do to help get past the censorship, we've got to try everything we can, because they're throwing everything they got. It's shadow banning, censoring. You know, some of us have taken to the streets because of it. You know,
I think there's shadow ban, isn't there? I think there's shadow ban, because it's possible to find out if you're shadow banned. But I think there's people that it says they're not shadow banned and they are.
Yeah. I think there's disinformation on both sides of it.
I've seen it on Owen Benjamin's specifically. He was shadow banned before he got banned on Instagram. So I know that for a fact, because I would put his name in a lot of times and he's on my list, and it would just wouldn't come up. So I have to go back to posts that I liked in there, so.
You see, we've got to stay on it in one way, form or the other. We've definitely got to stay on it. For the audience watching, hoodly daddle. If I said that right, hoodly daddle.
Yeah, it's one of his things, the boomers say, hoodly daddle.
Yeah.
So
That's it. I
I
keep getting tongue-tied.
Take advantage of that.
It doesn't sound right in a British accent, does it?
No, it doesn't quite twang the same with the British accent.
Hoodly daddle.
You guys are breaking if that's because I'm on a mobile and I'm not on a computer or what. So
No, the grabblers have found us.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, we're getting grabbled. Don't worry, it happens.
We can hear you.
We hear you.
We can hear.
It's kind of broken up like you guys sound like robots. Can you hear me though?
Bless.
Oh, that's okay.
There we
It's
go.
okay. This is
We
normal.
can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. This is normal.
Still, yeah. Okay. It's still the same thing though.
It's good. I mean, the image is good. You sound good.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can jump off and come back on and see if it works better.
Okay.
No problem.
Go for it. Okay. See if that works.
I'm gonna jump off and come back on. Give me a second.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Guys, we're going to come back to Hoodly Daddle. I think I said that right again. I don't want to miller that name.
Daddle.
We love Benjamin here. We're all bears here, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. I'm a massive advocate for Owen Benjamin. Think he's a great guy. He's been doing awesome stuff. So shout out to Owen Benjamin. And again, Noel, thank you to you. I now know about Hoodly Daddle, who I did not know about before. And now you do, Rich, as well. You didn't know about Hoodly Daddle before.
Because I mean, he does streams as well about all sorts of things. It's much more entertaining usually. It's more recently, I think, that he's moved to the sort of stuff that you guys do.
Yeah, because that's what we want to shine a light on his podcast. He's got the What Would Tesla Do? Yeah, What Would Tesla do?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Here he is, as we were just talking. Let's see.
I think he had like a porn star review or something quite amusing like that at one point.
Cool. Okay, let's see if we've got you. We've got a black screen just now. So let me just see. I'm going to put him there until I've got a picture, and then when I've got a picture, I'll add him because I think it's still loading. He might just be going through issues with signals, so we will get Hoodly Daddle back in if we can. And
He did
yeah,
say he only had 15% as well.
Yeah, that's right. So we are going to shine a light on what he's doing. I will make sure the link for his podcast is in the description as well, because he's doing bits and pieces. He's trying to share awareness in all the ways that he can as well. So if we can get a video and audio from him, I will pop him back into the studio. No problems. I'm going to get to you in the chat room really, really shortly. As I said, there's a lot of things that are internationally going on just now. Hoodly Daddle's over there in the States. Noel is in Malta. I'm in the UK, and 007 is in Tenerife. So I'm just reminding you all of that, just in case there's anyone new to this stream that has no idea where we're from. We are here to talk about all of the things that the mainstream media don't want to give us, which is transparent truth, facts. Facts matter. You know, for us to be able to use our discernment, we need to be given the information. And clearly, I think on an international scale now, we're all starting to see that we're not being given the full information. Most of us that are awake to a lot of things knew that we weren't getting the right information in the first place. But I think we've seen things ramped up now on an international scale that is beyond all kind of coincidences, that even in my wildest dreams, if I was to try and pluck out now, we've gone, is it fair to say we've gone past that point now? This is, you know, again, I'm going to get into the chat room in a minute. I can already see some comments that are really kind of striking my interest, because this is what I'm saying about this international situation. We've got people that are in pockets of madness, okay? And then we've got people that are in areas where this situation has not even reached the town boundaries yet.
Yeah.
And you've got friends that are trying to get out of Italy. They've got friends that are stuck in Italy. Rich, you've got Italian friends as well that are over there in Tenerife, that their friends and family are having issues. I've just seen you send me that link on Instagram, Noel, with that guy talking about panic buying. I've got my friend Levant that comes to Speaker's Corner. He lives in London as well, in a different part of London. And he's just given me a list of the length of my arms, right? That people have gone into the local store and just panic bought off the back of what those nutters were talking about today in Parliament. I say the nutters, I'm talking about the mainstream media that was standing outside Downing Street trying to hoot and holler at everyone coming in and out, biting for something because they didn't know what to say. And I've never seen mainstream media look so bewildered and confused in all of my time of being brainwashed.
Desperate. They looked desperate.
Yeah.
They were absolutely desperate.
Yeah.
They were desperately trying to get a comment from all of the ministers going in before the meeting. And yeah, it was I felt embarrassed for it.
Yeah, I did too.
I
Everyone
usually
liked
feel
your
embarrassed
dog as
whenever I
well.
watch British media.
Yeah, it is. It's cringy. It is.
Yeah.
It's cringy.
It is cringy.
So Ricardo said he's had a very big argument with this coronavirus thing. And I've never met a truther in my life, and I'm the most light on the net. I'm not sure. I'm going to
read
try
between the
and
lines, I guess.
yeah, I'm going to try and
I saw
decide.
YouTube, great name, was saying he decided the virus doesn't even exist. Prove me wrong. I've hearing a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hoodly
look, he's
Daddle,
back.
if you can hear us, can you hear us okay?
You can tell he's in America because he's sideways.
This is mic number one. This is mic number one. This is a lot of fun. Can you hear me?
We can
can hear
indeed.
you.
We can indeed.
Hey,
my
okay.
darling.
You're coming through my stereo now because I'm in the car, and I don't know if they're grabbling me because of the Wi-Fi or it's just one of those things that happens technically. So I can hear you as of now. If it keeps happening, I'll jump off the stream and I'll come back tomorrow through my regular computer instead
No
of.
worries.
Yeah. You sounded like robots for the whole. I heard what you said, Roxanne, about what's going on with Corona, and I can tell you it's going on in here in the States too. But it is mostly there's a reality of the cortisol being released, and I either talk to people that say completely totally hoax, don't believe it one iota, or it's like my mom and other people that are like, we're fearing for our lives, it's really a pandemic. And I say, well, there's 2,000 people that I know supposedly that have died worldwide, and 55,000 people died of the flu last year, which,
Correct.
you know, I don't know how old these people are that died for 2,000 of them. I don't know what their immune system is. I don't even
I'll
know
be
if
honest.
China's
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your president said exactly the same thing. Your president said, look, this is not, this shall too come to pass. This is not the problem you lot are making it out to be. Stay calm.
Right.
This isn't time to go crazy. While we've got a good connection, we were just
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
about your podcast. What would Tesla do? Can you give our listeners, just so that we can shine a light right now on what you're doing? It gives them a time to familiarize themselves with what you do. Can you give us
Sure.
a brief synopsis on what your podcast is, why you started it, and what it's about?
Absolutely. Well, I've been podcasting since 2012. Actually, I was inspired by Joe Rogan, who I no longer follow and or watch or even connected to, because because of his stance changing from having a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson and saying, yeah, well, maybe the moon landing is possible. I don't know enough about math and this and that. He used to say on the Opie and Taylor show, Opie and Andy show, which is a podcast years ago, he would say, there's no way we went to the moon. There's
Right.
no way. And he was emphatic about it. And then he changed his story, and I'm like, you know, I can't be connected to that. So I was inspired to do a podcast as a result of what he was doing. Back in 2012, there was no one to tell me how to do that, monetize it, which is not important anymore. And or I basically went to a friend of mine who does sound for Arrested Development, speech from Arrested Development, and I said, I want to do a podcast. What do I need to do to, what kind of equipment do I need? And he came in and he set everything up. But it was a video podcast. And at that time, I had to learn how to edit it for content because, you know, doing it, there was no live, but doing it without editing it at all, there's a lot of ums and its and all that. So I wanted to cut that out. So when I came back full circle, I decided to do an audio version of it because it's much easier to do. There's not a lot of fanfare. I'm not talking about things. I was trying to sell t-shirts as a result of my website. So it was connected to me making irreverent t-shirts. Like I had a picture of, Obama with a cigarette, smoking a cigarette like he was part of the Rat Pack, which is actually a photo. And it said the Manchurian Candidate. Well, now, I thought it was a brilliant idea. Maybe I was high, but nobody wanted a t-shirt. So I came back full circle, and I like the concept of the fact that I never heard about Tesla when I was in school at all. It was Edison who invented the light bulb. So I thought that was a good idea, and it's sort of a play on what would Jesus do. But if Tesla discovered free energy, which I believe is possible, then the entire world would have been a utopia by now. To some degree, free energy in Africa that isn't available, there's rolling blackouts and whatever, no energy in some places, would have been definitely a standard for everyone. And it would usher us into a new age where, everyone had, not a level playing field, because there's obviously, the queen is, worth $130 trillion, whatever the number is. But I decided to do the podcast audio. I decided to make the theme conspiracies. I do have other people on that I talk about other relevant topics about interpersonal relationships, and or I had Baby Norman on who dated Prince for 10 years. And there was a conspiracy that I thought connected to that, because I'm like, who's worth $300 million and dies without a will? I'm the attorney that works for, Prince, and I'm going to say, I hate to beat a dead Prince, but, you got to have a will. It's going to go to probate, and then you're going to have relatives that's going to get the money that you may never have wanted to have that money, maybe to a foundation or whatever. And she absolutely, I talked to him on many occasions, and he said, emphatically, when I'm gone, it'll take care of itself and whatnot. Try to weave in conspiracy style stuff. I do believe that you all and a bunch of the people that follow me on Instagram, it's just HOODILIDADDYBEAR, that we're all part of a hive mind. And once the precept that I found to be 9/11.
Okay, no worries. His battery might have died. It was like he was just getting to the crux. When someone's getting to the good
9/11, boom,
boom, just like that. I promise you, I haven't done anything. I was literally just leaning forward there, going, yeah,
Like that.
Oh.
He was gone.
Guys, we will try and get him back on. Shout out to everybody in the chat room that's popping awesome comments in. I'm going to get to you shortly. His podcast is awesome. What would Tesla do? I'm going to make sure the link is in the description. I'm going to go in and do that now while we're talking. And I will add that to the description afterwards, so that we can signpost you all in the right direction. He's also on Instagram using the exact same name that you just saw on your screens, HOODILIDADDYBEAR. I think I said it right.
Maggie Ray says, I grew up in New Jersey, USA. I'm 73 and I only ever heard about Thomas Edison, never Tesla. I only ever heard about Edison in school. Like I remember my headmaster giving us like an entire day discussion about this light bulb and about trust, because it was about how his assistant broke his first light bulb and then how he trusted his assistant with his second light bulb. And the whole day we spent learning that nonsense.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember either.
I learned about Tesla in private school, and then when I went to ordinary school, in the secondary school, they didn't say anything about Tesla. But well, no, actually, no, I tell a lie. They did, because they brought out the Van de Graaff generator.
Right.
But actually, hang on. No, because it was called a Van de Graaff generator.
Yeah, Van de
but
Graaff.
It's a Tesla coil.
It is
Isn't it?
Well, so because Van de Graaff used friction, didn't it? It used, I think it used like a fur.
Now got us talking about Tesla, hoodly daddle. We're now talking about Tesla and your podcast.
You got as far as 9/11.
Edison. If you look on the screen, someone else has just said there. Noel read it out. I grew up in New Jersey, USA. I'm 73. I've only heard about Thomas Edison, never Tesla. It's interesting when you hear what people, because even Rich is saying he'd heard of Tesla, not really the other side. And so in the chat room, can you let us know, what did you hear of at school? What were you taught? Did you get taught about Edison? Did you get taught about Tesla? Both? Press 1 for Edison, 2 for Tesla.
And can somebody tell me about Van de Graaff?
I don't know if this is going to be consistent. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be consistent. I might have to come back on the stream tomorrow from my computer. I don't know.
No worries, my darling.
The stream is being grabbled.
It is. The cheeky monkeys are on it. They're on it.
They're just trying to bugger your train of thought. That's all it is.
That's it. They want to screw with the train of
thought. I was saying that I believe that all of us and some of the followers are of a hive mind. It starts with 9/11. It continues with the moon landing, and then it ultimately goes into flat Earth or realm Earth, which essentially is I don't know what it is. I know what it isn't. You know. So that's my position on that. If when I went to an audio podcast, this is simply easier to do, than video and editing and all that kind of stuff.
You find it user friendly to do? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I go into Final Cut Pro and I can look at the graph of audio and I can cut out all the ums and uhs, and if I say like 150 times within 20 minutes, I can cut those out too.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna share your link for your podcast into the chat room right now. I'm also gonna put it into the description. Can you tell everybody that's listening how, other than Instagram, and I'm gonna share your link for your podcast, do you have a YouTube channel? People are asking for your YouTube channel, and I'm not sure I've seen you on YouTube. Do you have a YouTube platform? Do you go on YouTube?
I do, but at this point, like, if you guys are doing this yard stream, I'm only going to be on whatever the stream is that makes the most sense and is not in jeopardy of being just banned for erroneous reasons or strikes that I don't want to deal with. So I do have a YouTube station. It's What Would Tesla Do? But I don't know that I'm going to be uploading much of anything there because I really only have audio. And I don't know that I'm going to connect this to iTunes either, because I think that that's another thing that could be shadow banned and or the algorithms. So I'm just going to stay on Podbean. I pay for Podbean, and I tell people, go to the link. You can download the app, and whomever comes on, whomever. I have also said emphatically that I don't care about monetized. I will give my Patreon. I'll give my Venmo if somebody wants to contribute, but I don't care.
Cool. I'm sharing that link right now in the chat room for you all. So if you click that link, that will take you straight over to HOODILIDADDYBEAR's podcast, which is on Podbean. Go and check out the podcast. Make sure you don't miss the next episode. And while you're waiting for the next episode, make sure you catch up with the episodes that have been there before. Please go and do that.
You're breaking up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over and see if it gets better. And if it doesn't, unfortunately, I'm going to jump off because it's really hard to. I do hear you when I do hear you, but I don't. It's a computer voice, whatever. And then I'll come on tomorrow if you'll have me.
We will. And I message him right now. I will yield the floor to you two because there is so much going on. Can look at Marley. Hi, darling girl. Mwah. Mwah.
Say hello. Very quickly, in answer to your question about Van de Graaff, invented by American physicist Robert J. Van de Graaff in 1929. So, yeah. And that looks exactly like the one that Tesla did to me, but there you go.
Yeah, that's
Hoodly Daddle, we'll definitely have you back on if the connection goes. I just saw you came back in. We'll definitely have you back if it keeps happening.
Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to stop so I'm not moving and see if that gets better. And if not, then we'll just redo it at a later date. Because you guys sound like the movie. What's it? Dude, Where's My Car? With the drive-through. It's just completely, totally just and that. So let me see if that works. Give me you can just keep talking and I'll see if
cool.
And
love it. Marley's a natural, Noel. She's a natural. She gets it from her dada. Oh, bless you, Marley. Love it. See, we've got generations on the Really Work reports tonight. I love it. I love it. See, you're a parent yourself, Noel. How is it there in Malta with this malarkey? I'm going to call it malarkey because it is. It is a bit of a show. How is it?
Well, today was the most showy day because all the parents arrived at school and then we were immediately told that the schools were going to be closed from now on, probably for up to a week. So obviously, everyone still went to the playground and all the kids still played with each other and all the parents still stood next to each other and no one was wearing masks. It's all a facade, I think. But nonetheless, there is no school for this coming week. And since the flights went up from 60 euros to 300 in the space of an hour, I don't think anyone's going to be leaving the island.
No, I don't think so either.
And they were already talking about closing all the airports and everything else from Monday. So we'll see.
I think I got a solid connection finally.
Yeah.
I stopped
moving,
on the side of the road. Yeah.
So what have you seen?
Switching off between masts.
So what have you seen as well?
Yeah, so I just wanted to see where did you hear me leave off so I just not keep cheating myself. So.
We are Hive Mind.
Yeah, Hive Mind, yeah.
Okay, so essentially we're in America, we're seeing Fulton County schools are closed and they're supposed to be closed for, I think, 10 days, which will give them the ability to, I guess, figure out they can spray everything down with Lysol and then let people come back. I understand that the Final Four for basketball, which I don't follow, is also going to be canceled because of somebody on the teams has been tested positive corona. And it's one of these things where I was incredulous from the start because I'm incredulous at this point about everything. Everything is up for debate now based on 9/11, the moon landing, and realm Earth or non-spherical Earth. And now everything that I hear, I just start off with horse malarkey.
Do you want to know what happened today? Please. All of the craziness that's happened, they slipped one out without anybody noticing. Shout out to anyone that's noticed this story today. They just kind of dripped it out while they were talking about craziness. In the middle of everything, they went, due to the coronavirus, the McLaren team have just pulled out of the Formula One. They've just pulled out. Absolutely pulled out. They're not attending the next Formula One. Straight after that, the segue went into, and regarding the Mars mission, the Mars rescue mission. Mars rescue mission. You couldn't make this up, guys. The Mars
They're going to go
rescue.
rescue the car. They're going to go and rescue the car.
That's obviously they were going to go and send the breakdown recovery service out
the
and
Elon
bring
Musk
the Tesla
put
back.
up there, isn't it?
Yeah. So they slipped it out. They did. They slipped it out and they said, "Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're just going to put all the missions on hold now for like a good few years because we weren't going there anyway. We were never going there. So it's almost like the lie's been stopped for a bit." As well as football matches, everything's been stopped. Whatever the narrative is,
NASA even admits, that there is a dangerous, band of radiation, which they call the Van Allen belts, which just may be the firmament. and that we can't traverse that. Another, our NASA representative, an actual astronaut, has said, you know, we can only fly in low Earth orbit, and that's as far as we can go. And then it's like, yeah, but we're going to Mars. Yeah, but we did 6 moon missions between 69 and 73, of which you passed through the Van Allen belts 12 times. No one ever died or got radiation poisoning from it. None of the film from the Hasselblad cameras or whatever they were using at that time period that were not space proof, none of those were affected. You go to the airport back in the 80s and you had to take your film out of your camera, you know, bag or whatever case, because it was going to be affected by normal x-rays. It's like they can't even keep anything consistent. Yeah, they can't keep anything consistent. And at the same time, it's like, you know, no one that I want to talk to that's a detractor will listen to a 10-minute video or watch a 10-minute video. I'm like, what do you feel like? You're going to be infected by the truth or something? You go like, that's interesting. You know, I mean, I don't get it. And so those people, what I think that they don't want to do is they don't want to change their life. You know, if you're an atheist or, you know, you don't believe in any kind of higher power and you just want to be a NASA fanboy, well, I can't watch your 10-minute video that shows all the inconsistencies. Can't do that, because it means that I have to change my position on things and have to deal with cognitive dissonance and all that. Yeah. Huge.
Problem. When it doesn't sit with, it's like if it doesn't sit with their narrative, they're more than happy to just go, I'm just going to leave the freeway here and I'm going to exit. I'm taking the next exit. I'm going to take the exit that takes me as far away from this. Like truth, it sounds funny to say it, but with the truth, I've said it before, it's like the truth is so far away from the narrative that we've been taught. It's been designed to seem ludicrous. Just ludicrous.
Sure. Well, the truth just is. You know, the lie says, wait a minute, you don't understand. Wait, you're not hearing me. We're not communicating correctly. No, the truth just is immovable, and it is what it is. And if you're not interested in that, I'm at the point where I'm not proselytizing anything that I say anymore. I'm literally saying, if you're open to asking questions, I'm here to talk to you, and I'll spend as much time as possible. But if you're just like, you know, ad hominem and this and that, listen, I already heard it. I came out of the closet on Facebook with this stuff. You know, a year and a half ago, I explained that I didn't come to this conclusion easily. It took about 18 months of looking at everything from both sides of the fence, and I just don't have the time for it anymore. I have a finite amount of energy per day, and I'm not going to distribute it to people, you know, throwing, you know, pearls to swines. So
yeah, well said.
I like the way this guy talks, man.
I do too. I do too. And you're getting
that's exactly how I feel. That's my sentiments towards it. Exactly. If somebody is open-minded and willing to explore the possibilities, because I'm exactly the same as you. In my opinion, we have to explore all the possibilities. Really, I mean, there are some boundaries, obviously, but everything's up for question now. Everything is.
Everything's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I said it today, just based on the statistics of obesity. I believe in America, 300,000 people died last year, and nobody's rushing to close down McDonald's. So there's your logic.
There you go.
It's a McDonald's pandemic, man.
People are like, you know, well, you don't know the math. I'm not a good math guy. I'm a wordsmith. I can talk all day about something I'm passionate about. But at the end of it, like, nobody is, you know, concerned about, you know, troops coming back from wars we don't need to be in and committing suicide. Nobody's on high alert about that. It is essentially whatever the mainstream media wants to cherry pick, and I don't watch it. You know, people will say, well, you're being irresponsible by not knowing what's going on in the world. I don't want negativity seeping into my mind constantly. And then they have a human interest story where, you know, someone with Down syndrome rode, you know, a hot air balloon, and isn't that interesting? You know, it's like, no, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I do respect the people that have walked away from it because of their own personal reasons. I think you just explained that beautifully, actually. And I think for those that need to protect their mindset, their well-being, I think if you know that it's not good for your health to be watching it, stay away from it. I would be staying away from things that were not mentally okay for my health as well. And I think that's a responsible thing to say, because there are people that put themselves through the mincer, unnecessarily stressing themselves out with things that They don't need to. It's almost like this subject. We've got the best researchers. We've all got the best. There's some of the best public speakers. We only have to take Owen Benjamin as an example for that. The truth has brought out the best in everyone. And there's so many things that I can't handle dealing with, but there's other people within this truth community. They're like,
I think it's actually brought out the best and the worst.
Yeah,
it's brought out the best and the worst in all of us, because those of us that are creating on YouTube, and when we first experienced our first serious troll attacks, that brought out that brought out the worst in me.
Like you mentioned as well, coming out on Facebook. I think a lot of people, Rich, in the chat room can relate to that as well, because you mentioned that as well, Hoodle Daddy, a year and a half ago. I think, did we all experience that when we came out in public? Because I think we did. I think we all experienced that initial...
Yeah, but I think all of us in unison are not spring chickens. We've developed a thick skin, and we have a response to people that is logical, and it doesn't capitulate to feeling the ad hominem's attack. It's like, I know what you're trying to do. You've tipped your hand, so I know your tell. So you can't sit here and browbeat me to death, because I won't communicate. I won't continue the communication. I won't engage with you. But I with my thumbs, I wrote a 2.5 hour reason why I was a flat earther at the time, or non-spherical earth believer, because I'm like, it doesn't add up. I looked into it, and if you looked into it, you have actually you suspended disbelief for a period of time to look at the data, you're going to come back with the same conclusion if you got an IQ above an orange.
Mm-hmm.
An IQ above my foot size.
Yeah,
going back to what you were saying about the MSM, and that drip of constant negative, depressing news. I didn't actually consciously move away from mainstream media. It was when I left England and I moved to Portugal, not having a TV for the first year or something, or not being able to watch any TV at all, really, that naturally took me away from it. And then I was fully aware of how much brighter life seemed. I was in Portugal, obviously. Portugal was so much brighter anyway, so maybe it just made it that much better as well, not having the TV bringing me down every day.
It's true. As soon as you get rid of the television out of your life, out of your home, out of the sanctuary that you have, your bit of sanity in a world gone mad, I think you stop that kind of toxic perpetual.
You don't need to. Right, I'm sat here with my television. Right? My television's on. Anybody, you can. Oh no, it's not high enough. But the camera shot we did last night, the camera was higher, wasn't it, Roxanne?
Yes.
You could see the TV reflected in the thing. But my TV's on, right? And at the moment, I've got Sky News on because we're trying to decipher what's going on. But ordinarily, I'm watching YouTube channels and I'm watching what I want to watch. I'm just not watching the programmed that they're giving us.
I've noticed that as well. A lot of people that have TVs only have their TVs for Netflix and YouTube, and a lot of people that I've met on the
street. Bloody monitor for the computer.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I use it as a monitor for the thing. So.
I'm literally watching. I don't want to step on Noel's because I don't think he's word and edgewise. But I literally watch. If I have Netflix, I watch Little House on the Prairie. Because it's to the because you can't bitch about those types of things when you learn what they went through. And I think that as you get into the seasons longer, that the story is really loosely based on books written by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and it gets to a point where it's how loosely did we base this story on. And I watch Bob Ross paint, and that's it. I mean, really programming in movies and TV have been ruined for me. I'm happily okay with that, but I mean, that's the deal. There's not much I can watch anymore. There's no agenda in there, whether it be, seeing the planets because we're on some kind of sci-fi thing or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's where I'm at.
I used to love sci-fi movies. I used to be so excited if a new sci-fi movie came out. I'd be like the first to go and watch it.
I've got to be honest, I still do.
Good. Well, at least you can. I can't. They were ruined for me. I just can't.
Do you know what I've been able to do? right, ever since I left England, and I was for the first year having to watch so much of the same thing just repeated over and over and over again. Somehow, I don't know if it's that or if it's something to do with the 2 serious head injuries that I've had, but I'm able to watch a movie or anything really. I can watch it, and then 2 days later I could watch it again, because I just go, I don't bother attaching to the film anymore. I just sit there and
I miss
just
being
watch
able
what's
to do that.
going on. I enjoy the graphic, I enjoy the CGI, and I enjoy some of the, some of the scripts and whatever. And I don't see movies for the same thing anymore, but I do still enjoy them.
That's good. In the
And I
chat
like to sit
room,
there and take the piss as well.
Yeah.
No, you
Good
need
for
to
you,
say
though.
something, dude. Seriously.
what about you,
Or
Noel?
actually, you need to shut up.
What about you?
I'm sorry, you guys are so interesting. Plus, I had Marley non-stop in my ear a minute ago. I had to
What
turn
about
down.
you?
So when I started my studio in 2002, I was working 18-hour days recording. So I just stopped watching TV then, basically. And I think after you've not been exposed to it for a while, a lot of your kind of conditioned responses are out of date, and you start seeing everything just not look right around you, and it just makes you probably a little bit more susceptible to seeing through the cracks and realizing that it's all a facade. Because when you're not, glued to the news or secondhand news via, soaps that repeat the news, or your friends who repeat what they saw on the soaps that repeats the news, and this multi-level digested, this kind of human centipede version of truth that you sort of end up getting 7 people down,
That movie
the
was a
redigested
trip.
truth.
Yeah,
I slipped out of that spiral, and also hanging out with a lot of musicians, you find odd sorts who keep odd hours and sort of also don't fit in those circles. So you just hear all kinds of weird things, and after enough time, I guess the guards which are instilled in you through education are just kind of so confused they don't know what to block, and then that's it. You're kind of open. Then you're hearing stuff, and you're like, that sounds weird, but it also sounds like it could be true. I might actually look into that. And of course, and around the same time, for me, I was born in '82. About the same time, obviously the internet, Google, all these things. Back when Google was, the "Don't be evil" stage, before they
in
went
those
full blown
days.
alphabet on the world.
That's almost the olden days now.
That is literally the olden days. Yeah.
It's almost like prehistoric times now. Looking back
Did you
at when it
see Human
started.
Centipede? No.
Is that was back in the day?
No,
man.
I didn't
Back in
feel the need.
day.
I felt like the title told me enough.
Oh, it was wild. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, I was horrified, and then like, I need to get through this to find out like, what is this?
I haven't seen it.
This? Which film?
Human
Which film?
Centipede.
The Human Centipede.
Don't
watch
Oh
it.
God,
stay
no,
away.
no.
I haven't watched it. I just the title told me
I've
enough.
got
Like, there are just
absolutely
some
no.
films the title does all.
I actually saw the parody of it with South Park. It was quite funny.
Yeah, it's pure evil. Trust me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still scarred. Yeah.
Shout out to the chat room as
South
well.
Park episode.
Shout out to the chat room.
I liked what yeah, shout out to the chat room, man.
There's
I
ones
liked
and
what
twos
South
in
Park
there,
did
Rich.
with it.
There's half and half. There's ones and twos. There's a lot of the chat room that are saying they do not watch movies anymore at all. Flat out, don't watch movies. There's a few people in there that do watch movies, and I've seen a few 1.5s. There's a few people that kind of do, that kind of don't, but it seems to be 50-50 in the chat room.
I don't actually watch them. I just still enjoy. If I haven't watched the movie for ages, man. I watch South Park and Family Guy, and just for comedy value, basically, and YouTube. And at the moment, for my downtime, when I want to disassociate from all of that and totally detach myself and just chill out and have a laugh, I watch IGP on YouTube playing games, man. He's the funniest guy ever.
What are you like?
Absolutely. Him and Icy Caress, man.
Who is IGP?
IGP, right? Indie gamer pro. He's a gamer, man. He's like in his 30s or something. He's a professional gamer with 1.6 million subs, and he just sits there and plays games.
How did they get so many subs playing these games online? I don't get that. I'm miffed.
Because there's. Do you know what?
See a girl
right?
playing games in a bikini.
I remember a couple of years ago. My friend's kid, all he was doing all the time was watching other people play games on YouTube, and I was like, I don't get it. Why don't why don't you play the game? I don't get it. Why are all these kids sat here watching other people play games? What's the obsession? And now here I am, 43 years old,
I kind of get it.
and I don't think I've ever had so much fun watching this guy. He's
I haven't played
brilliant,
a video
man.
game
He's
since
got the best American
1993.
voice ever.
I'm years ago too. I think I
still buy
played them.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
years for me. I gave my PlayStation to my kids, and I haven't looked back
Nice.
since.
I'm
That's-
waiting to
that's how I
pick
get
up
my
my
aggression out.
second-hand Xbox One. I'm waiting to pick up my second-hand Xbox One, man. Just for simulated
What are
violence.
your
You like
thoughts on? 'Cause
Hoodily
I haven't
Daddle,
I haven't watched cartoons at all either. What are your thoughts on Disney and some of the imagery that they use that are, seems to be related to pedophilia?
Well,
Yeah, disgusting.
it's
I
like
have a no
once you
Disney
see
rule,
it,
There's no
which
escaping it.
it's like
no
once
one
you
else
see it.
respects.
Yeah, once you've seen the images, once you've seen the images and been shown, there's one where Mickey's got his, I won't be too descriptive, but there's one where
Oh,
Mickey's got his hand around Minnie. And if you just take the design of the, oh my God.
You will have seen it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty obvious C and B.
And they have the word, and it's unbelievable, man. And thankfully I don't have kids.
Yeah.
I am
Well,
actually really grateful for the fact that I don't have
nod?
kids, man.
Is it a nod to each other, or is it an Easter egg that they just
No,
say, you know,
it's
I'm into this
pre-
thing,
it's
I'm gonna stick it in there?
programming.
I think
Pre-programming.
I've heard Owen Benjamin and a few other people state this, including Jay Dyer. It's a lesser magic thing. If you put something that's obvious that a parent should notice, then everything else is fine, because basically you're proving that the parent doesn't care about the child, and you've basically it's like a contract, right? You've made a contract with that person. You've provided them something. It's blatantly not appropriate for their children, but it's not really blatant. It's just you should have noticed it. Therefore, we can do what we want. There's no. It's like to fend off bad karma, or it's just what the hell wicked people seem to think, you know. It's like when a guy says to a girl, "Oh, I come back to my house, I've got loads of coke," and then she's like, "Oh, I don't really think I should, but I've got loads of coke," and she obviously shouldn't, but she goes, "Oh, but I do want the coke." It's like, well, and now you got raped. You can't really blame the guy. Obviously, you can blame the guy, but you know that's the kind of thinking. It's like,
yeah,
I got coke. I'm obviously gonna, you know. It's kind of like you should you know, fool me once, fool me twice. You're fooling someone twice. It's a trick. Lesser magic.
I'm putting the whole chat. I'm putting the chat room on the screen right now. Almost everyone
I think
in the
it's
chat room's
interesting,
got an opinion.
actually. I like what you said, Dave, with the question, because I hadn't actually thought of that, and I think maybe it could be also a little. You know, it's like they laugh about it amongst themselves because they know it's there, and it's their little joke amongst themselves. You know, when they see all these families sitting down at Christmas, watching these Christmas movies, and they know what to look for. So, you know, it's I think that's an added thing. I think it's the lesser magic as well.
In the movie Fight Club, Brad Pitt's character was, you know, making a joke about
editing.
He spliced a single frame of pornography into child films, and that's how I kind of view. Yeah, I kind of view that same thing with Disney, and it seems innocuous until you go, well, who's Disney? Who was Disney? And what is it about? And let's look at the background, you know, because people think NASA is just, you know, the weird thing about NASA is that it seems like the $52 million a day is just based on them predicating that, you know, that we are in space and we are floating. Okay, if you really are, got it. Let's move on to what else you're doing with the money. And you're showing this to impressionable children, and you're doing parlor tricks, you know, and you're sending people up. You know, if you're sending people up to an international space station, I would imagine every single amount of space in sense of the space that we have going up there, how much space we have to maneuver around up there is crucial. You know, you couldn't bring a guitar up there. Or, you know, Halloween costumes. That's ridiculous. You know, I mean, I'm a musician, and when I opened up for, say, the Indigo Girls years ago with my group, you know, they said to us backstage, they said, well, you can bring up 3 items, and everything else you need is just backline, you know, and leave the equipment up there, because we have so much limited time between change out that even one more thing that someone hands up to you it's crucial time that we cannot allow for. And that's why I have my questions about the International Space Station. When did they videotape, if any, this thing being built? It just sort of
Thank you.
out of
Thank
nowhere.
you.
Yeah, and secondarily, what are you doing to create oxygen? Well, the NASA people, fanboys like, well, it's a complicated thing of da-da-da-da-da. No, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. What are you doing with your waste? How are you getting your food up there? How come we have videos where people are disappearing, such as sort of like a la green screens? There's a video of George Bush Sr. being pushed by a wheelchair by one of his aides through the NASA control room, and you can literally see in the background a blue screen, green screen, whatever it is, with an astronaut doing a floating object, and then you go back and see him on the other monitor. That it looks like he's in space, like he's on the International Space Station. It's complete and total, horseshit, malarkey, whatever you want to call it.
Guys, what do we say when we've got multiple countries all across the international plane, right? We always say measured, repeated observations, right? Measured, repeated observations. When we've got multiple people now coming to these massively tentative subjects, getting past those initial hurdles, I've spoken to people now over the last couple of years. I'd definitely say more than 100 people. I'd confidently say more than 100 people that have said exactly what you're saying now. Why is it that not everyone's getting it? And we understand about the narrative and it not fitting with their narrative.
There's no question there's a mass awakening. But the powers that be look at it, they mock it, because they're like, well, you even if a NASA, whistleblower came out, they'll discredit them in 2 seconds and say, this, that, and the other thing. And there's people, all they want, everything in the news is sound bites. We never go back and find out what happened to those police officers that beat the devil out of so-and-so. There's no follow-up, and they say back in the news days when there was only 30 minutes of news, that was it. That was all there was. And now you've got 24-hour news with a streaming banner at the bottom, because they have to keep repeating everything, because then it becomes right, it becomes true. You just keep in a calm, clear, concise, determined and or premeditated conversation and voice. You say it slow enough and confidently enough, and people will go, oh, okay, well, it's the news. It must be right. That's my take on it.
One thing. Go on, no, sorry, mate.
Oh, I was going to say, was it William Casey? There was a CIA director. I don't know if this is true or not. I guess I've never checked, but I've heard it enough times to believe that it was true. I think it was William Casey who said, we'll know our disinformation tactic is complete when everything the American public believe is false. I think that was around late 70s.
Rox, you're on mute, babe. You're on mute.
Can you?
Are you all familiar with John Perkins?
Not you, sorry.
John Perkins wrote a book, Diary of an Economic Hitman. Are you familiar with that?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I know.
So John Perkins.
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, so he knows. John Perkins was a CIA agent on some level. He writes a book. He's spoken about it on video, and he says, what we do is we go into countries of third world countries or what have you, and we offer them an amount of money as a loan that cannot be paid back because it's too large, and we offer the country infrastructure that we're going to put into their system, such as energy and power or whatever it is, and as a result of that, you're going to let us come down there and have bases, military bases, and we don't, and the economic infusion that they're doing benefits the country nothing. They put in a puppet leader, and they basically say to them, hey, you know what? Play ball with us, and you'll be rich, and you'll be able to do whatever you want. You'll have all the power. And if you don't, we'll take you out, and we'll put somebody else in. And that's what's going on with what John Perkins is talking about. And he goes into great detail in his book. But it's one of those things where that's a whistleblower. That's a guy that, you can go back and say, well, that's a real thing. But again, it's about cognitive dissonance, like you said before. No one wants to sit down and go, well, let's talk about that, because it may threaten their narrative and or their entire lifestyle, and they would be forced to change it if they have any character.
You're right. You're exactly right. Noel, what's your take on this? Because I feel like I need to yield the floor a little bit, because you've come up with some valid points there, Daddlebear. I feel there's people resonating in the chat room as well. Where
Well, I actually haven't read
Can I
the book.
just shout out my chat room, by the way? I just want to shout out my chat
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
Lee Brogan, shout out, man. And
Well-
5 Art, so you got a wrench as well, dude. Go on.
I suppose
carry
I
on,
should
sorry.
thank also Paris Satoria, who's in the room. He's the guy who first red pilled me to the flat Earth, albeit accidentally, by posting on his Facebook. What was it? Once you go flat, you never go back. He's listening from Bali right now.
Oh wow.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Nice one. Thank you so much. Brilliant.
It's going on all over the world, and it's going on by people that are doing the actual experiments, and they're measurable, repeatable, and all that. And you know, a million people can't be wrong. You know, people argue that all day long, but it's only increasing. The momentum is only increasing. There's nobody, and I have this from personal experience with people that they say, well, that's been debunked. Well, how? It hasn't been debunked to me, and it hasn't been debunked by the
Africa check.
You know, a movement by definition, you know, doesn't stop until there's something that is a stumbling block that says, well, this isn't working. You know, Jim Jones down in, you know, South America, you know, it wasn't working, so we had to commit suicide, do a mass suicide, because it wasn't real and it wasn't justifiable. And that's what's, to me, is so, it's troubling, but it's at the same time it's encouraging that people are getting it in increasing numbers, and at the same time there's plenty of people that are not getting on board that for whatever reason and agenda, and it's baffling. It really is.
I feel like for people like you said, it's a kind of a game of two halves, but for them, I think the numbers, they never stacked up against them. You said something there and something just popped into my head about the radius again. You know, the problem for them, the ones that gave us the lie in the first place, is that humans were always going to get to a point where they looked at the numbers and went, well, if that's what the radius of this so-called ball is supposed to be, then I probably shouldn't be able to see a landmass over 100 kilometers out in the water, should I? So, like, with all the of the other arguments,
the video,
all of the other arguments, they just kind of go like this. When we look at that, it's just like, well, okay, I'm
Roxanne,
not too fast.
Roxanne, listen, the science is settled. It's been debunked. The science is settled. We don't have a conversation about that anymore. I don't care if you show me a zoom in of something that cannot be there. I mean, look, the equation is on Google. It is what it is. If Google was smart, they'd change the equation. Or we're living on
This is what I don't get,
structure.
man.
We're living on a structure that is, 5 times the size of Jupiter, where nobody would be able to measure it because it's too big. It's like, it's right there. Technology has caught up with the lie. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's like
you can zoom in on
that's
the
like Owen says, isn't it? Owen says that technology is caught up with the lie, man.
Yeah.
Technology's caught up with the
Shout
lie.
out Owen.
Yeah, shout out
Owen's
Owen.
actually on with Karen. Owen's actually on with Karen B, and oh God, Real News. No,
Brian.
Sorry, Brian, mate. Sorry. Real News Online and Karen. I think they've got, or it might be Mark that she's doing it with, but they've got Owen Benjamin on tonight.
Really? Okay, I'm going to try and get the link.
Every day for 2 years, I've been listening to him, and I've only learned and increased my vigilance for the truth based on what he's come up with. And nobody's doing what he's doing. Nobody is sitting there and doing a live stream unedited in front of a webcam and just talking. Like, I can't even imagine doing that. I have to stimuli like you guys as a feedback to be able to have a conversation. I can't just sit there and talk.
I look at Owen. Owen's a fantastic role model for any man, I think, who wants to be a real man and be a good father. And the way he's everything that he's doing, man, everything that he's doing with his family, I'm in awe of, and I really respect it, because he's yeah, you know, he's doing it right, man. He's doing it right. Who is that? I was just sorry, I just got distracted by that. That looked like somebody
I'm
that
sorry.
I know.
Yeah, when I gave a shout out to my friend, I said Paris Hattori, who's a completely different guy. His name's Paris Taylor, and that was him. He's listening to the show in bed right now in his Flat Earth t-shirt. He's been red pilling people all day with his Flat Earth post because everyone's noticed that the WHO has a Flat Earth map in the middle, and people have been like, "Is
WHO
WHO as well as
everyone's been posting like, is it possible that crazy Paris isn't actually crazy?"
Yes, you sent me that. Shout out for that. Shout out for that. You were right, Rich, as well. Hoodle Daddy, Owen Benjamin, he's going to be on the Real News Online with Brian Staveley. Brian's just put in his chat at 9 p.m. E-time.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard.
Will you send me the information and the link
I sure will.
Instagram?
I sure will. I'll make sure I get that.
Is 5 hours. 5 hours behind, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the things that I learned from Owen, and it was a hard thing to, I won't say swallow, but to embrace, was the pernicious nature of pornography, and the fact that it's weaponized, and the fact that it's something that will definitely steal your direct attention and keep you from learning the truth and or embracing things. It'll calcify your pineal gland, for lack of a better term or explanation. That's huge. That's a huge thing. So yeah, he is doing it, and he is an inspiration and an example that can be followed without I mean, he's fallible. He's a man, but those types of things, they make him stand out from the heap in every single way.
I love his catchphrase that I might be wrong, but I'm not lying.
Absolutely.
I've sent you both
Great
the
line.
link, guys.
Great line.
Hoodle Daddy and Noel. I've
Thank
sent
you.
you Brian's link now. Brian, I've just grabbed that out of the chat room. That link on the screen right there is from the channel that is interviewing Owen tonight. So I've sent you that link on Instagram just now, Hoodle Daddy, and Noel as well. And he's also put the times in there as well. I think he's given me 2 a.m. UK time. And yeah, the time for you is and for those of you on the East Coast, 9 p.m.
2 in the morning for me, I think.
9 p.m. for you, Hoodle Daddy.
Can I mention some of the people that are going to be on the podcast soon?
Yes, please do. Yeah,
Okay.
let us all know.
So Billy Zagoras from Australia, who wrote a book, I actually have it right here, called The Elusive Curve, will be on the podcast. We've already spoken. We just got to set up a time. So Reeves, who is a Scottish fellow, if I'm not mistaken, who lives in the UK and is also one of the people that really stirs the pot online with just the facts about the fluidity of water being having a physics that it rests and always conforms to its container. And he's got a lot. He's really knowledgeable about the facts and the math, and being able to put that out there in the form of memes. He's just constantly a barrage on his Facebook. That is now the weird thing is, and I need to talk to him about this, as he doesn't believe in an intelligent design creator, which is confusing to me. I respect whatever he says, as I respect where he comes from, but I am going to ask him about that when he comes on the podcast.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for shining a light on that, because as I said, there'll be a lot of people that are in our chat room just now that have never heard of the podcast, that are new to the podcast, and we'll be happily sending a lot of people over to you that hopefully have not seen it before. So anything that we can shine a light on that you're doing, please tell us so that we can get it out there. You've got the links for Brian as well, so hopefully you'll see some content you've not seen before. And with them interviewing Owen, hopefully that'll be a good look. With respects to, I'm going to be live again tomorrow at 6:30, hopefully on time tomorrow for me. I've got 2 children, a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old. So it was a little bit of a kerfuffle before I came online anyway. So my viewers know I do try my best to be on time, but sometimes it's give or take 30 minutes or an hour, depending on how crazy the day is. But we've got lots going on tomorrow. We've also got a bit of a special interview to play on Saturday when I go live. I'll be going live at about 6:30 on Saturday as well. We will be speaking to somebody that has rubbed shoulders with your president within the last 2 weeks. So yeah, and everyone in that room came under the line of fire from Mr. Super Duper Director Spike Lee, who had a few words to say about them.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Shout out to anyone that knows what I'm
Which is
talking
quite
about.
interesting.
It's very, very
interesting when you
interesting.
consider who Spike Lee is and
The
also
cognitive dissonance
the
is
chap
still
that
rife,
he was
big
the
time.
chap that he was talking about, or
Yeah.
you know, that he was including in his
Yeah,
little
we've got a
rant.
couple of bits to play from interviews that have happened with other individuals that were there as well, and we've got an awesome interview lined up from one of the individuals that was there. So that's one to watch out for Saturday. Hoodle Daddy, depending on your schedule and yours, Noel, please do come back whenever you can. As I said, I'll be live every day for as long as I can keep that up for while there's a lot of things going on. So if you could time back in, yes,
we will be
sorry.
live every day.
Where your
Rox needs to
cameras
get
off?
used to. She
Your
needs to get
cameras
used
off.
to the fact that she's co-hosting again
Turned into a
after
speaking
the
circle.
Globe Live tour. She was so used to on the Globe Live tour. She held that down by herself for 3 months, man. Absolutely smashed it every day, live every day. And but it's we will be going live
We
again.
will be going live. Yes, we is the operative word.
I think a roundtable discussion in this forum is really cool. I really think so. I am apolitical though. I don't support any candidates. I don't support politicians. I will say this: in the feather in Trump's cap, he's kept us out of war, and we've been at war constantly for I think 223 years as a country or a nation or whatever you want to call it. So there is that. I mean,
I think the only war we're having now is with the cabal, the deep state. I think that's the only war we're having now. I think they are now fighting for their lives and throwing who into the situation.
Yeah. Absolutely. I 100%. They're feeling the pressure. Now they may, laugh it off, but how long do you laugh off a movement that keeps increasing?
Oh, big time. So thank you. I would love to carry this on as well. So if you guys are able, if you're available tomorrow evening, please do come back and join me. I will send you guys a link about 20 minutes before we go live. And if you're available, I don't care if you're in the car, at home, if you can connect in and let us know what's going on where you are, that would be awesome. Guys in the chat room, you've been absolutely amazing.
I'll do it tomorrow from home. If I can, and have a connection that doesn't allow for this, back and forth of the computer system voice. But I'll do some preparation as well if anybody wants to, ask questions about some of the things. It's kind of cool that there's things that you're like, well, I haven't heard about that. Great. And I haven't heard about some of the things you guys are talking about. And I'm interested in being able to have a roundtable discussions. Very cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Big time. Noel, are you down for that as well, darling?
We appreciate reaching across the pond.
Damani, tomorrow.
Yeah, you okay? You okay?
Yeah,
we'll let you speak tomorrow, babe.
Presuming this thing, which I'm presuming is a dissident roundup, hasn't quite reached me, then yeah, I'll be there.
Well, I want an English accent now. I mean, you guys sound extremely intelligent with an English accent. I love it.
Honestly, don't let it fool you, Hoodly Daddle Bear.
He's like Al Beat. I love it.
Hey, sir, can I have some more?
I love it, guys. In the chat room,
which part of England? It totally depends on which part of England you're coming from, whether you sound if you're intelligent or not. Because there are some people, right? I'm not saying nothing now. I'm not saying nothing about nobody nowhere, right? But there are some people, right? I'm not saying nothing, right? I'm not saying nothing about nobody. I'm not casting no aspersions about nobody. But some people do sound a little bit stupider. They do. I'm sorry though. On that note, I've got to go.
It's more gooder. Yeah.
Right. 00 is about to go and play his gig. 00 does 6 gigs a week. He only has 1 night off, and he does 6 gigs. Am I right in thinking that all 3 of you are musicians?
I think you are, babe.
Maybe. I'm a drummer.
You play drums, right?
Whoa.
I do.
I play drums,
I play keyboards,
guitar, piano.
Wow.
Drums, bass, guitar, and
play
piano.
a little bit of bass. I can play enough of each instrument to write tunes.
And I'm a singer. I consider myself to be more of a singer, really. They're not a musician. Yes.
All right, we can get this audio thing fixed. We can have a jam session.
Yo, the
Oh,
really
mate,
woke
that's
band. The really woke band.
We got Vertex.
Yo.
It's Vertex. We got a producer in the audience, man, in the chat room. If Vertex there, Vertex has absolutely smashed some of my stuff, man. We're producing a really
No
cool new track
artificial
at the moment.
sweeteners.
No
Or,
artificial
no. This is brought to you
sweeteners.
by no artificial sweeteners.
I like it. I like it. My darlings
All right,
in the
well, I'm
chat
gonna
room,
jump
to everybody
off.
that's been watching,
Yeah.
00's going to go to his gig. Noel,
Much
thank
love.
you so much. Hoodle Daddy Bear, we will be back.
Shout out to Olga as well, who's apparently been watching, who is a friend from the Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really been fun.
Big time, big time. And I feel like this hour has literally flown by. Tomorrow I'm gonna stay on for about 90 minutes. I'm gonna stay on a bit longer when 00 goes to his gig. So we'll be on for another at least half an hour or so tomorrow. I'm not gonna be in such of a rush tomorrow. With everybody that's in the chat room, I can't thank you enough for all of your amazing input. Thank you so much for being so lovely to each other. You know, to see some kindness like that is a breath of fresh air in all of this craziness. So thank you so much for putting your positive energy into the chat room. Guys, I can't thank you enough for having some amazingly stimulating conversation. As I said, I can't wait to delve into some of the things that we've touched on because I'm not afraid with all of this. I love it. Nice little bit of drumming in the background.
Yeah.
Nice bit
Well,
of
fight the good fight and do not let your heart be troubled and take despair and throw it out the window.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Thank you, guys. What a wonderful
All right,
way
I'm
to
gonna
end the
jump off.
evening.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'll
No.
catch up with you guys soon. Thanks a lot.
Right back at you, my darlings. Mwah. Thank you,
Peace.
sweethearts. Everybody in the chat room, Noel, my sweetheart, I will see you.